At the last minute, the Americans had given South Vietnam vast quantities of new weapons and was still giving large amounts of financial aid. In the wake of the peace agreement, South Vietnam's President Thieu had been given clear assurances by Nixon. If the North broke the treaty, the United States would retaliate with force. But by the summer of 1973, in the wake of the revelations about the secret bombing of Cambodia and other political considerations, Nixon no longer had the power to fulfill his promise. The U.S. Senate passed a bill banning combat operations over Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. On the South Vietnamese side, government forces seemed to be holding up well, but in the country, a crisis was looming. The withdrawal of American troops had already caused severe economic problems in South Vietnam. The economy had relied on U.S. aid, but had been inflated out of all proportion by the American presence. Millions were unemployed. Then came a world oil crisis that quadrupled the price of fuel. The cost of living soared, and political unrest shook southern cities. At the same time, corruption in the government and the army reached new heights as Thieu cut the defense budget drastically. The effect on the armed forces was disastrous. Soldiers could no longer support their families as prices rose, and corrupt officers embezzled funds. Fuel shortages cut helicopter operations by 70%. A shortage of spare parts immobilized aircraft and vehicles. Ammunition was rationed. Steady cuts in American financial aid would add to the overriding sense of decay. The American tap was being slowly turned off. At the same time as the Army's morale began to crumble, political support for President Thieu started to evaporate. Religious groups, ethnic minorities, the press, and even some senior military officers came out against him. Then, on August 9, 1974, Thieu also lost his most powerful backer. The Watergate scandal forced Richard Nixon to resign as President of the United States.